Good evening, Galion primary families. I hope that you are all doing well on this beautiful day. I am joined here by Galion primary principal, Katie Earlston. All of you know Katie. She's been in our district and at the building for several years, but we have the opportunity for her to join us this year as our head principal, and we are certainly excited about that. So just wanted to welcome Katie and have her answer some questions and provide some information to our families. Hi, Katie.
Hi, Jen.
How are we doing tonight?
We're doing great.
Good. Thanks for being here with me so we can try to get some questions answered for our primary families. So Katie, we're just going to go ahead and get started. I know we have a few things that we want to talk about here this evening and some questions that have already come in from our families, and so we would like to get those answered. For everyone else that's joining us, thank you for being here. Please feel free to put some questions into the comment section, and we'll be happy to try to get to all of those questions before the night is over. If we're unable to, or if there's some things that we're not quite sure of yet, we'll make sure that we get those answers to you here in the near future. So we'll go ahead and get started. So Katie, can you start off by just giving us an update on building reopening procedures, specifically addressing the start-end times, the reasoning behind those new times?
Sure. So we've worked really hard on these plans for reopening this year. Obviously, things are very different. We've used a lot of input from families from the surveys, our staff. We've worked with the health department, and of course, following the federal guidelines. We do have new start and end times this year. The tardy bell will ring at 9:05, and the kids will be dismissed at 3:50 at the end of the day. The doors will open at 8:45 in the morning for kids to come in and go straight to their classrooms to eat breakfast. And the change in time this year is to help with our busing. In years past, we've had a second load of busing that it's just not good for kids. They wait around for a long time at the end of the day. So to eliminate that, we've changed all the building start and end times this year so that we only have one route for busing. At the end of the day, some of the pickup dismissal times are a little bit different. I think preschool's dismissing walkers or not walkers, but pickups at 3:40. Kindergarten is 3:45, and first and second grader at 3:50. And this is to eliminate congregating in the hallways and too many kids in the classroom.
Excellent. Thank you, Katie. Can you tell us a little bit about students and families and when they are able to meet their teachers before the first day of school and what that looks like?
So for preschool and kindergarten, we are having an orientation this Friday from 4 to 5. There is info on the school website or on the Galion Primary Facebook page, specific instructions for that. So they will be able to bring their supplies in and meet their teachers for a few minutes on Friday afternoon. First and second grade students, we're not having a meet and greet this year. The reasoning for that is obviously we're trying to limit the amount of people in the building just for safety and health. And the majority of those students are very familiar with our building. They're familiar with the staff's faces, and they've been here before. So they will bring their school supplies the first day of school with them, and they can take them to their classes. If it's too much to carry for the first day, they can bring the rest in the next day. Did I forget anything?
I don't think so. So, I know that...
Oh, I did remember something.
Go ahead.
We are hoping, this is not written in stone yet, but we are hoping to have a video of each teacher and them with a tour of their classroom. We're hoping to have this ready to go before school starts. And then that would be sent out to the particular students in that teacher's classroom so they could at least see their teacher's face and what their classroom looks like beforehand. And that's first and second grade.
Good. Well, I'm excited to hear that. I know that, the beginning of the year is an exciting time, and it's exciting when we have these open houses and families can come in. And so, obviously that's a little bit disappointing that we can't do that this year. So I appreciate you and the staff coming up with an alternative to So at least our kids can, through an untraditional format, at least be able to see their teacher's face and be able to get to meet them and look at their classroom. So I think that that is great. And I do know, we've had that question before in the past about, open houses and, why aren't we doing these things? And, when we look back to years past, we've really had a huge turnout, which is great. We love that our kids and our families are in the building, but I know that our staff has done and our custodians have done a great job this year working to get the buildings ready, keep them clean, so really, part of that goal is to try to limit our visitors as much as possible, just so we can continue to keep things as clean as possible for our kids when they come in the first day. And so that's part of the thinking behind that. So thank you to you and your staff for being flexible and coming up with some alternative options. And then thank you for our parents also for assisting during these times and maybe not being ideal with our first and second graders. So
Yeah.
Mrs. Elston, just kind of want to leave that topic and talk a little bit about the school day and kind of what that looks like, some of the things that go along with that. The first thing is breakfast. We have the universal free breakfast this year, and what does that look like as to how our students are going to receive breakfast when they get to school in the morning?
So as you said, it is free for everyone this year, which is wonderful. Each class is going to have their sort of, I guess, like a laundry basket that the kitchen staff will have all of the breakfast items in there, counted out for each classroom every morning, and those will be delivered to that class before school starts. So as soon as the children get to their classroom and hang up all their things, they can just get their breakfast right out of the laundry basket and sit at their seats and eat breakfast right in the classroom.
Excellent. And really, that's not too different from how we've done that in the past, because we have done that before for several years. So, our second graders especially, they might be very familiar with that, as I know we've done that prior to this past year. So, easily we're able to revert back, and our teachers and our older kids are at least familiar with that. So that's good.
Yes.
Let's move on to, again, talking about the school day. What does it look like as far as face coverings, and there's now the expectation that our kiddos are going to wear those, and so what is that going to look like, and how are we going to be accommodating our students during the day?
So yes, they are required to wear face masks now. We have ordered, I brought my shield along to show everybody. So we did order shields. This is an adult's one, but we do have these for the kids too. In kid sizes, but this is kind of what the shield looks like if they prefer to wear a shield over a mask. The shields, we will be keeping those at school, so I did want to bring this up as well. Children will need to have a mask to enter in the morning and to ride the bus home after school if that's how they're going home. So basically when they get to their classrooms, they can leave their masks on, or they can put their masks in their backpacks and wear their shield that will be in their own private cubby that the teacher will have sanitized the evening before. They will get, so the kids are all going to have a sort of three-way see-through kind of a study carrel thing. And when they are sitting at their seats working behind their study carrels, that'll be a good time for a mask break. They're welcome to take their masks off, their shields off, set it right down inside their work area, and have a mask break during that time. Now, if they have to get up and sharpen their pencil or go to the bathroom or something, they're going to have to put their masks or shields back on. And of course, if they go to center time, that will happen also. So.
And just so our families are clear, we do have the option of the masks, the shield, or even the gaiters.
The gaiters, sure.
Because I know that, based on your, comfortability level, it might be something different. And so, keeping the shields in the district that we've purchased just to, again, keep them there, make sure that we have them, make sure they don't get broken. We are going to be receiving a large supply of face masks that will be coming in here this week. So those are being delivered by the federal government. And so those will be on campus this Thursday. I will be busy counting those out and delivering those to the building. So for those of our families that do not have that, we will make those available as well. So we'll make sure we get those down to the primary so that way if we have families that need them, we will get them in their hands. So
Yep, I have to
thank
say
you.
we had kindergarten screening today, and it went very well with distancing. But the thing that really impressed me so much with these kindergarten kids is some of them were here for quite a while, and not one of them complained about their masks, and they kept them on. So it was impressive.
Yeah, it was fun. It's always fun during kindergarten screening, but I had the chance to be there too and talk to some of the kids. And you're right. They had cute little unicorn masks, and, they were making it fun with their families, and they really did do a great job. And so, I would totally agree with you, Katie. So we'll move on from face coverings and talk a little bit about classes, and especially classes like art, gym, music, some of our special classes. How is that going to work, and what does that look like for our students this year?
Well, the students will still be attending special classes, which is gym, art, music, the library, writing, 21st century skill, or no, STEM. So anyway, they still will be attending these classes. What we've done this year in the schedule is we've put a break in between each one so that those teachers can properly clean the areas in their room that they need to before the next class comes in. And that break in between specials also cuts down on traffic in the hallways. So we're hoping to get one class out, one grade level out and back to their rooms before the next kids come in, so that we don't have the carryover in the hallway as well.
And
Did I answer that?
Yep, you did a great job. And two, just the sanitation when the kids are exiting and coming back in the rooms. All of our classrooms at the primary do have sinks with soap. So, we'll be constantly washing our hands and singing songs as we're washing and then also sanitizing as well. So absolutely.
Yes.
Talk a little bit about lunch, because, I know that that's, been a concern for some of our families. So can you share with us what that looks like and how that's going to work, Katie?
Yes. So speaking of breaks, we do have decent breaks in between each lunch period so that there's a lot of cleaning going on. We are going to have lunch in the lunchroom. We have added extra tables so that we can get the distance between children. And what we're going to do to make it easier for them so that they know where to sit each day is we have got, I guess this would be an inchworm. So, for instance, say Mr. Harris, our kindergarten teacher, his class knows when they come in that they are always going to sit on the inchworms. And these will be spaced out and on the seats, so kids know exactly where to sit. And we'll have different ones for every class. So here we have some blue whales. We have all sorts of these that are different. So we will keep the kids separated. They're all going to come in and sit down at one time, and then we're going to dismiss them table by table to go get their lunches so that we don't have a bunch of kids waiting in line to go back into the kitchen to get their lunches as well.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Katie. Can you tell us a little bit, when we think of lunch, we also think of recess. And so can you tell us a little bit about the plans for recess and what that looks like?
Yes. Now we're still trying to iron recess out a little bit. There will definitely be recess. We've kind of discussed having different groups, different classes, different days on doing different things outside. So for instance, kindergarten, maybe having one of the classes on the equipment on a Monday, and a different class on Tuesday. And, some kids playing in the field the one day, and some of the other kids on the little playground the one day, so that they're all outside and they're playing and they're having fun, but they're sticking with their same group of kids that they've been with throughout the day, and not overlapping, so that we don't have big crowds of kids in one place. That's a work in progress.
All right. And then is there anything else, Katie, that you wanted to mention about dismissal in the end of the day? I know you already talked about it, but I also have it listed here again, and picking up students. Is there anything else that families need to know about what that looks like at the end of the day?
Just that I know the new preschoolers and kindergarten families don't know how it works, but there are doors that go out to our parking lot from some of the classrooms on that side of the building. And preschool will be dismissed straight from their doors at 3:40, and then kindergarten also gets dismissed from those doors, and there's a couple other kindergarten rooms on that side of the building. So the kindergarten kids that get picked up will also leave through those doors at 3:45. And then first grade comes and leaves at 3:50 from those doors, and second grade is dismissed from the cafeteria. I guess I would ask that if parents, if you're, say, a first grade parent, maybe try to wait in your car until 3:50 to get those other children out of there first, just so that there's space. And when you are waiting, if we just all kind of keep our social distance, just so that we're setting good examples for the kids, I guess. Might take a little bit the first week of school to get all this down, but we just be patient with us.
Yeah, the first week of school always is a little bit busy and a little bit challenging. We were going to send out an all call to our families, especially for busing. I know the bus drivers have been working. I was in on Sunday, and there were some bus drivers making calls on Sundays to families, letting them know what time that they were going to be picked up and dropped off. And I will tell you, always, every year, the first week of school, that those buses are running 5, 10, sometimes 15 minutes behind. So keep in mind, we have kindergartners that have, never been in school before. And so, we want to take our time. We want to make sure that they're comfortable in getting to their bus. And so, if your student's bus is not, arriving exactly on time, that's not a major concern and a worry. Don't be worried. Just because it takes them a few days to at least get in the routine, and for us to make sure every single student is where they're supposed to be. So we appreciate your patience there as we work with our students to just teach them those routines and those procedures as far as busing is concerned. Also did too want to just remind our families. I know that we have some first graders who are the top dogs of first and second graders being our top dogs of the building. Keep in mind that since we have those different times for the intermediate and the primary, that frees up some parking lot space over at the intermediate. So if you do have a first or second grader, they might be able just to walk across the sidewalk and meet you in that other parking lot, and alleviate some of the congestion there too. So that's maybe a tip and a trick for some of you that are veteran primary picker-up veterans. So
that's a great idea.
So the last thing, Katie, that's just on our list, I think you talked a little bit already about the classroom. You talked about dividers at each desk. Can you address, or do you have anything more that you want to say about small group instruction, centers, stations, any of those components that would be taking place within the instructional time?
Well, the nice thing about small group instruction is they can carry their dividers with them. They're very light and mobile. So they can carry those to the table where they work with the teacher in small group instruction, so that will be nice. Centers and stations, we've talked those are a big part of the primary school learning day. And we've talked about some options this year because we really need to clean those items and materials in between students so that we are not contaminating them. So we've talked about, maybe different schedules this year of how they do centers and stations, which they will still happen. And each kid also is going to have the iPad this year. So we're hoping to do a lot of the centers on the iPads as well. So I think that's it. There'll be a lot of hand washing. Every time a kid comes into the classroom or leaves the classroom, they're going to need to wash hands or sanitize too.
Yep, absolutely. So Katie, I think those are all the questions that came in advance. Chris, do we have any questions that are popping up? I can't see those, so I'm going to trust you to help us out here and relay any other questions that are coming in that we can answer.
Yes, ma'am. The first couple of questions that we had involved busing and transportation, and when those notifications were going to be sent out with respect to bus assignments, routes, those kind of things.
Yeah, and so like I said, some of our drivers were in this weekend making those calls, so those should be coming out to you, and you should have that information this week at the latest, I would think.
Okay, thank you. One question that, there are a lot of questions and concerns regarding face coverings. And we've gotten a lot of individual questions about, a student not being able to wear a mask, because they may have some issues related to an IEP.
Yep.
And so, looking through those, really I think, and Mrs. Allerding, if there are individual questions related to a family student and a face covering, probably the best thing to do is to call the primary school and speak to the staff. Would that be accurate?
Yeah, that would be accurate, Chris. I would say, obviously we're going to look at every student individually. That's what we always do is, look at our students individually. But, I will say that we need to have some sort of a documented note from a physician stating that due to specific medical reasonings that they cannot wear, and then fill in the blank. What is that? Can they not wear a mask, but yet they can wear a shield? Can they not wear a gaiter? Can they wear a shield? So, there needs to be very specific information on that note as to what they are allowed to have, what they're not allowed to have, and it needs to be specific to a medical condition. So certainly we know that we have some students that we need to work with them and their families. We're committed to doing that, and it will be a case-by-case basis. And so please feel free to reach out to, in this case, we're talking about the primary, reach out to Katie and her team, and they'll be happy to help work through that process with each of you.
Okay. We addressed pickup for students earlier. A question that came in regarding lunchtime. Since students are going to be dismissed table by table to get their food, will each student get the same amount of time to eat their lunch?
They will have plenty of time to eat, yes. Yep, we let them stay as long as it takes them to finish.
Okay.
And I know too, Chris, even just from being there in the past, we've had some kiddos that, they're done and they've given additional time for the students that, are still working. We have some kiddos who they get their lunch first and they're still eating last. So,
Lots of times.
That's okay. We want to make sure that they're well fed before they head to class, because we certainly know that a hungry belly doesn't make for, a good situation with learning. So we want to make sure their bellies are fed, that they're comfortable, they can use the restroom, and then get them to class. And I know that we have wonderful teachers at the primary, and they are certainly sensitive to that and work with our students there. So.
Okay. The next question that came in is with respect to those students who may not comply with the face covering requirement. How will we deal with that as a building or a district?
Yeah, so, we're putting this under the dress code portion of our handbook, and so we'll be working through those steps that are defined within the handbook. Obviously, it is required. If we have a student that's refusing to wear it on the bus, then, they won't be transported. Of course, those students that have that exemption, that's a different story, but, we'll work through it, and just like we do with dress code and just like we do with some of those other violations that take place during the day.
Okay, thank you very much. The next question is with respect to school supplies. Are families, do they need to label all of their children's supplies individually for this school year?
I would say everything that you can, not the pencils. There's I don't even know how many pencils they needed you to buy, but so the teacher will label those as she gets those out to give them to children. But the school boxes, scissors, those kinds of things, that child would be using just for your child, I would label those, yes.
Okay. And then just to reiterate, the question came up about how families will find out who their children's teachers are. When is that information going to be available?
So we are finishing up. We have kindergarten screening again tomorrow all day until 8 o'clock tomorrow night. So I will be finishing those class lists on Wednesday, and I'm imagining, I've told most people Thursday morning, but I think I'll have them all done and out probably after 3 o'clock on Wednesday.
Okay, thank you very much. Another question that came in the past, some classes have done a snack time to help students with having the early late lunch. Will that still be an option in the classrooms?
That will still be an option. That will be up to the individual teacher, and that teacher will send that information home. Obviously this year with snacks, if they're being brought in, it used to be, a parent would bring a whole box of Cheerios or something, and the teacher would just, divvy them out between the kids, but we won't do that this year. They all need to be individually prepackaged, bought that way snacks that the kids could eat in the classroom. But that will be up to the individual teacher, and they will let each parent know.
Okay.
Let me mention about the class lists again. We will post those on the front. They will be spread around on the front windows of the building.
Okay. Thank you, Mrs. Ralston. The next question that came in is in reference to the dress code. And is there a minimum time frame that's allowed by law for getting that new information out there?
Chris, I don't think I understand the question.
Okay, so I'll read the question as it came in, Mrs. Allerding. Isn't there a minimum time frame that is allowed by law to give new quote unquote dress code information? Isn't it something like 3 or 6 months?
Chris, I'm gonna have to look into that. As far as the dress code, as long as it's board approved, I know that we board approved the specific information that we're sharing last month. We have typically, in every year since I've been in Galion, approved those handbooks in the summertime, and so those do reflect changes every year. So I believe that we are compliant with what we're asking. As far as dress code, outside of the facial coverings, that information is still the same for the primary. There's nothing that's changed as far as dress code. The only addition would be the facial coverings. And of course, every district in the state of Ohio is updating this summer based on what those specific guidelines and regulations were that were being provided to us by the state. So, we have been compliant with meeting all of those deadlines as required, especially with the face covering policy, with, other things that are required to be done by August 14th of this month. So we continue to work on those as these new things come our way. So,
okay. Thank you very much. Another question that just came in. If the kiddos wear a face shield, do they need to wear a mask as well?
I can answer that one. No, they do not. One or the other is fine.
Okay. And that looks like all the questions that we have that have come in for the evening.
Okay. Well, before we leave, I just want to thank all of you for being here. And I just want to take a moment to give a shout out to our primary staff members. I know that they worked last week as a building to come up with all the procedures, protocols, to look at how we're going to be operating in the building. And so I just want to thank all of you so much, our teachers. We had secretaries, ladies from the cafeteria. We had some parents involved in that. And so I know that was a long day with a lot of discussion. I came in and they were in the cafeteria with tape measures, measuring everything. So they really took that task to heart because they want to do what's best for our students. And so I just want to thank all of our teachers and our staff members and our parents who are involved with that. So since we have no more questions, we're going to go ahead and hop off. But if you have any additional questions that you think of after the fact, please feel free to reach out to Mrs. Earlston, Mrs. Krim, myself, and we'll be happy to help you in any way that we can. Mrs. Earlston, do you have anything else you want to say before we leave tonight?
Oh, not much other than I'm excited to get the year started and to see all the kiddos here.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you everyone for joining us, and we will see you soon. Have a good evening.